Les cascades pichons avec Sodo, c'est Acadin, la citadelle, c'est la bâtie à Marigot. Haïti, c'est la vallée, c'est Port-Sali à Zabrico, c'est Mon la Selle, Pic Macaya, c'est Mamlada, Mon Bilbao. Haïti, son douce macos, c'est yon point pistache grillé, son gicolé qui pousse en force, son bouteille cola bien glacé. Haïti, son bon brio, son bon fritaille, un bon tasso, son bon légume avec sirop, son bon diri avec l'alo. Haïti, son bon bouillon, son soujou à piment, son bon cassave avec mamba, trempé dans la casse. Haïti, son bon domboué, cap mariné, non bon sauce pois, son bois cochon, bon clairon. Haïti, son bon café d'histoire. Haïti, chérie, jamais aimé. Moi, vine déposer ticket, moi, non, mais. Haïti, chérie, jamais adoré. Pas gain un cap, je me fais, moi, quitter. Haïti, chérie, jamais aimé. Moi, vine déposer ticket, moi, non, mais. Haïti, chérie, jamais adoré. Pas gain un
make sure we give everybody nothing but love and respect this morning. So I'm going to step out of the way to just give you an opportunity to get in tune into what we're getting ready to do now. So I want to present to you none other than Honorable Ootson Tyson Francois. Let's try that one more time. I want to present to you none other than Honorable Ootson Tyson Francois. All right, if you're feeling this spirit, let's everybody just jump up to their feet real quick. Come on, everybody, come on. Let's change the atmosphere. Let's change the atmosphere. Come on.
Haiti, à l'âme fondant Port-au-Prince, où j'entends vivre. Haiti, à l'âme fondant Haïtien, mes frères, où j'entends vivre. Depuis l'aéroport, moi senti me transformer. Radio, télévision, journaliste, toutes les villes rencontrées. Nous sortis de tous côtés, pour y venir accueillir nous. Moi t'es tellement saisi, que pas même qu'à parler, en chanter. À la content, à souhait dans le pays, mes amis. À la content, à souhait avec mes amis. À la content, à souhait avec famille. À la content, à souhait dans le pays. Circulation bloquée, sous tout le monde d'Anna. On a dit soit sonner, n'a dirigé à risque. Nous boivons pas beaucoup, nous mangeons bon griot. Mercredi 1er mars.
Mr. DJ, put your hands together for yourself for waking up today. And that is how it's done. We must enter the atmosphere with love, respect, and honor and reverence for everyone. That means when it's your turn, I am with you. When it's your turn, I'm with you. We all are with you. So without further ado, I want to say welcome to the 15th annual. And again, I'd like to take the time out to introduce to you guys today an amazing man of God, a powerful man who loves the Lord. But this man loves his city. He loves his city, loves his people. He's a father. He's a champion. He's a husband. He's a pastor. But also, this amazing man is none other than the mayor of the city of North Lauderdale. I present to you Mayor Samson Bourgelin. This man was born and raised in Haiti as an orphan. Come on, sir. Come stand next to me because it's all about you today, right? Sole survivor of his family. He's a sole survivor of his family. I want to say this again. Raised in Haiti as an orphan by himself. Lone Star. But I want to say to you, but he's a lone survivor, sole survivor of his family. But yet he thinks to come and represent so many people, so many lives out there that are lost. And this is a man of God who seeks to preach the word of God from the dust. He has a double master in psychology, college professor, pastor, marriage counselor. Going to make sure. He's a public servant, of course. Made history in 60 years of his city. First ever elected black Haitian American Caribbean council member in the city. First black Haitian Caribbean mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, our mayor.
Yeah, I'm just a nobody that nobody noticed, but God just to serve him, that's all. Yeah, to serve his people. And it's a pleasure for me to represent Haiti everywhere I go. And it's a pleasure for all of you to be here to make your voice, to let people know who we are as a people, as a First Nation, to liberate slavery in the world, I would say. But it's not about that today. It's about, we have a great panel of three important, all of you are important, but very important people here. And let me take the time to introduce them first, then they're going to be up there. First, I would like to introduce Mr. Patrick Eliansi, if he's here. Isn't that, yeah? And when we're up there, you can come up, move up to here, so we'll give a little bit more detail on him, about him. And Miss Stacy Samuel, let's go. Let's applaud him. Let's applaud him first, okay? Because we take your spot. Take your spot up here. Take your spot up there. Take your spot. Okay, let's double our effort for Miss Stacy Samuel, and we'll tell you who she is in a few minutes there. And also Miss McCulvey Neal, if we could pronounce it very well. Take your spot up here. Thank you very much. Without further ado, yes. They all got the memo to dress the same way, and yes. All right, thank you. All right, let's put our hands for them one more time. One more time. All right. All right. Let me take a few minutes briefly to introduce the panelists we have, distinguished panelists we have here, and experienced panelists. For Mr. Patrick Eliansi, he's among the many accomplishments. Mr. Patrick Eliansi is the face of Haitian television. He has become one of the most watched hosts in cable programs in South Florida and the Caribbean. Since 2016, Mr. Patrick Eliansi hosted his own weekly radio program on Radio Mega 1700 AM, Echo Actuality Magazine, under the umbrella of PE Communication LLC. This radio program brings awareness to the issues affecting Haiti and the diaspora, as well as the economic, educational, legal, health, and political and social issues affecting the Haitian community at large. Let's put our hands one more time for him, please. Thank you. Next is Ms. Stacy Samuel. She's an award-winning journalist, a woman of Haitian descent, and a champion for amplifying the voice of Haitian people. With more than 20 years of experience covering stories that span the globe, she is now the founder of her own media company, partnering with other legacy media organizations, producing podcast series, documentaries, and live journalism events. Let's put our hand for Ms. Stacy Samuel. Thank you. A little bit louder, please. A little bit louder. You just ate. Thank you. All right. Thank you. And our next distinguished and experienced panelist is Ms. McCulvey Neal, who is a writer and editor, communication consultant, and author focused on elevating voices in workplace and media spaces. In her journalism roles, Ms. McCulvey lends her editorial expertise at the Haitian Times, crafting the tone and content of the publication and coaching reporters to bring forward the nuanced experiences of Haitians and Haitian Americans. She contributes regularly to Business Insider and outlets, and other outlets, and she makes the media appearances regularly on network TV, national and international radio, and digital platforms. This is, ladies and gentlemen, let's put her in for first, and then secondly, for all of them there, we hope we're going to enjoy the discussions that we're going to have, and the narrative today, the discussion on changing the narrative, and it's all in the media. It's a media news, and later on we'll have some questions from the question and answer from the audience. So prepare yourself. I would encourage you, if you have questions, just write them down on a piece of paper quickly, so you can at least hand them to them later on to make it easier. Okay. To kick off, we're just going to start the question is, how do you, and it could be at all three or anyone who wants to start, that's fine, okay. How do you balance being informative while conveying the truth, whether it is viewed as having positive or negative impacts on Haiti? Let me repeat it one more time. How do you balance being informative while conveying the truth, whether it is viewed as positive or negative impacts on Haiti? In your business, in your field, you guys very experienced, and nowadays everybody's talking about media, social media. So just leave it up. Anyone, maybe in my case, ladies first. It's up to you. Thank you. Yes. You are.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the invite. Mayor Bourgeois, it's a pleasure to meet you. As he said, my name is Macoviniel, and I serve as the executive editor of the Haitian Times. So this question is a daily question that comes up every day, right? So we have a responsibility as journalists, number one, to tell the truth. Like, that's not negotiable, right? And so whether we look at a story and think, is this going to be negative for Haiti or positive? Our main focus is it news, right? I'll give you an example. About 3 weeks ago, there was an event in South Florida that was billed as Soup and Champagne, right? It was supposed to be an Independence Day event where everyone comes and you have soup jumeau and have a good time to open up 2024, right? And the lineup had different artists on it, right? When our reporter went, Sweet Mickey shows up unexpectedly, right? As a news editor, when I see that and she says to me, oh, the big thing of the night was that Sweet Mickey was there. No one knew he was coming. He just showed up. For me, that's news, right? Because this is someone who is who's very controversial, right? Very prominent. He's the ex-president of our country. And so we went with that headline to say that, you know, Nikki made a surprise appearance at this event. We did get a call, emails saying, talking about Sweet Mickey overshadowed our event because it's supposed to be about the culture and all of that, right? But again, when we're making those editorial decisions and you have someone who's extremely prominent, who, you know, is wanted for questioning and has all of this baggage, that's going to be the news, okay? And so I just wanted to share that example. Our primary focus is on telling what happened. Well, was he there? Was it planned? Did he show up? There was nothing erroneous or not factual about the story, so we left it. Did I then put in, you know, comments from the organizers saying, yes, he was there, but ultimately we want this to be about our culture? Of course we did, because we agree our culture should be celebrated whenever it is, but we also can't ignore the news elements.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I want to thank NHAEON for that me to be with those great people. So I'm more comfortable when I'm asking questions. But now they put me on the other side of the desk. I have to receive questions. But I have some biscuit later to fight with Stacy and Malcolm. You know what biscuit later means? They need to learn something today. Do you know what biscuit later means?
Biscuit later. Anybody knows that? If you're Haitian, you should know that. Biscuit. It's washed, it's stone.
Oh, so let me put me here so again they wash me because that's not a joke. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Well, let me follow with the first question.
Yes.
I love the example that she took. As a journalist, you have to deal every day with the good, the bad, and the ugly. I didn't know what type of angle Haitian Times was using to characterize Matili on the celebration of Haitian independence. But depending on the way you shape your subject, it can be headline, it can be one phrase, probably at the end of in the middle of your article. So we know that Matili has been banned in South Florida for so many things. He's a politician, a very, very controversial figure. That's personal to the newspaper, but I wasn't there. I heard that he went to a meeting where they were celebrating Haitian independence. So as Haitian, anybody can come and celebrate Haitian independence. I don't have any problem with that. Again, it depends the way or the angle that you choose to shape your article. But it's not really easy as a journalist to please the audience. Depend on what you want to show, depend on what you want to present to the public. I will take another example. I've met so many presidents, vice presidents, senators, prime ministers, directors. Sometimes they want you to say something in the public. In the private, they're telling you something different. Now, what you gonna do? I remember a prominent politician guy, Mark Ribazin, when he was prime minister de facto in Haiti in 1992 or 93. At the National Palace, we had a half-an-hour conversation. But he told me, Patrick, please play the interview, not the conversation that we had before the interview. And I had to respect his choice. He told me some private thing, and I couldn't relate to the public. So it's not really easy when you, at the same time, journalist and reporter, because you're facing the danger down the street. You're facing also the person who put the people in the danger. I used to meet Toto Constant. But when I'm around Toto Constant, all the frappist people around him too. As a reporter for Haiti, I know how to manage a Toto Constant and his gang frappist. When Peter Jennings went to Haiti to produce his documentary House on Fire, we worked with him at Haiti. And you provide him some images, some interviews that we couldn't do in Haiti at the time. And he gave us credit for that. Because nous devons frapper, nous devons militaire, nous devons tout dans la rue. Et pour nous connaître que nous devons prendre une image, nous devons prendre une vidéo, qui devons mettre en danger. If you go to ABC, check for houses on fire, at the end of the documentary, il dit qu'il y a une image que je vais la passer en Haïti. C'était pour l'image pas nous. We had to protect ourselves. We had to protect our cameramen. So, we want to help the community. We want to inform. We want to communicate with you politicians, you decision makers. But it's not really easy when we have to report to the public. But, so responsable, so honnête, so pas faire buzz, if you're not mon cap faire n'importe quoi sur les réseaux sociaux. But sous respecter terre tout, sous utiliser éthique, I'm telling you, it's not easy. But we have the obligation to report, we have the obligation to inform the public, we have the obligation to report what's going on in the country, what's going on here in Miami, here in Washington, D.C. C'est dommage que la conversation soit faite en anglais, but I would like to let my people to know in Haiti what's going on here, because the report will be airing, the film will be airing in Haiti. So, to change the narrative, I think we need to work together and try to bring the public the decent information, what I could say.
All right. We see the passion the journalist has for the subject there, the topic, and thank you. I just want to keep you. We have a lot of questions we're going to be having for all of us, but thanks a lot very much. And same question again to changing their narrative, because we want to go differently further in the role of the media. The next one, but basically.
Well, I thank you, Mayor, for distinguishing that. But first of all, I want to just point out that both Patrick and McKelvey are both representative of media that is ours. That's our media. That's owned by us. That exists to tell our stories. I have made a career of over 25 years in mainstream news organizations. They are not interested in telling our story unless there's a big headline. Listen, it is what it is. It absolutely is. They tell the story that presents itself, right? Because McKelvey just told us how challenging it is when an event happens. Well, there's the story. That is the news. News is not public relations. We will never make anybody happy. But it is the information of the moment. So what I'd like to, sort of build on that my colleagues here who are very distinguished and are still in the trenches, let's flip it and recognize what those newsmakers who stole the headline did. So if we want to change the narrative, maybe we need to start thinking about how to seize the moment. Because what did Sweet Mickey recognize in that moment? There is an event, which makes it newsworthy. People are going to show up. There's going to be food. There's a shtick, right? There's, there's soup jumeau. Where's this? Okay, it's brilliant. It's smart. That's not an A1 headline. That's the first thing you're going to look at on your phone if you see the headline. But what did he recognize? Here's a moment that I can seize to create the news. We need to be doing that, right? We need to seize the moment. And I'm going to tell you, after years of working at CNN, CBS, I worked at CNN New York, CNN DC, CBS New York, CBS DC, NPR, and more recently Al Jazeera before I went out on my own. And I'm going to tell you what all of these very different places recognize. The cameras will go where they know that when someone is speaking, they represent a lot of people. We have no shortage. As Haitian people, it's in our DNA to be political. It's in our DNA to be, civically engaged. It just is. It's who we are. We can't separate ourselves. But what we don't do is we don't speak with one voice. Listen, these are challenges that go back home, and we brought them with us, right? And also we have the reality of living. However, so more recent population studies show that, and I think it's probably on the low side, that there are 1.2 million Haitian Americans in the United States. Ukrainian Americans are just 1,000,000.001. When they had a war that started in their country, they had lobbyists. We know that there is one voice. They had one voice. When we have issues and we are direct neighbors to America, where's that one voice? And then we want people to come to hear what? No. We need to know. There has to be an understanding. This is how it works. If we see one person from NHAEON speaking, that means there are 1.2 million people behind that person. I'm not saying anything we don't know, right? But what I'm imploring us to do, and I'm trying to empower all of us to do, is to take ownership of changing the narrative. These people, because I'm not in a newsroom anymore, I just help inform people who are trying to get on the news. They can tell you, they can't go where there's a little tap. We need to know, right, that when there is an event, everyone is behind them. And we cannot We can't sit back. What is our first tendency? Something happens. It's, oh my God, this happened. We need to be mobilized immediately and poised because we have to seize the news cycles. We can't wait and then think about, well, what do we want? And we have to learn how to speak with one voice. That's what's going to get us to change the narrative, because without the Haitian Times and Island TV, our community doesn't get the information that's hyper-local and important to us. But what has the greatest impact is when the mainstream global news decides what the narrative is, because we did not take control of it. There are too many organizations that don't speak to each other, that aren't working together. We just had a president of the most prestigious university globally. What was the voice? Where were we? Where were we? So I'm going to leave these two things,
Right.
and I'll go back to it. We need to be speaking out as one voice. We have to put our differences aside, because that's what the other communities do, right? The other thing is we need to be supporting our people, right? Not when we need them, right? You don't call the mayor when you need him. Once you need to know what, you need to be supporting him all along the way. You need to be checking in with him. How is your funding going? There's an election coming up in 2 years. What kind of campaign support do you need? Not, oh my goodness, I wish I had done something when it's too late. We need to be active. We're very active people, but we need to be organized.
Right.
Something. Just one second.
Yes, I will give you one thing.
Stacy is absolutely right, talking about the narrative. Usually when you see ABC, CBS, the big networks, what they do when they go to Haiti, they have this stereotype saying Haiti, the poorest country in the hemisphere. La notre salle haïtien répété. Haïti est toujours pauvre aussi longtemps que des gens qui exploité. When you get NGOs, you aller dans la Cité Soleil, Cité Carton, c'est normal pour montrer photo monde qui dans la misère. C'est là où on fait l'argent. Si pas quelqu'un qui est dans la misère, qui est dans la souffrance, on fait l'argent. But to change the narrative, me on Island TV, her on Haitian Times, we're not going to ignore the Cité Soleil. But we need to show them il a vache. Pour nous montrer tout fusil, 15 coffres. We have that.
Okay. All right.
I know you're jealous.
And
this is what I want to add about this.
Yes, that's good. That's good. And thank you. We have so much to cover in so short time, but you can appreciate already the passion that all three have, and thus bring us to a question right now. Actually, what they explain is the framing of the perception of Haiti. So it's the role. So being in the field for so long and experienced so many things there, what do you think, each of you, any short you can, what is the role of the media, and not the real media actually, in framing the perception of Haiti, and how this perception impacts the Haitian culture, or later on I'm going to ask even a U.S. Foreign policy on Haiti, because the way we present Haiti, that's what I'm saying. If you want to go describe what framing is, that's fine, whichever you want. Anybody. We have experienced people here with NPR and all this stuff. Okay, go ahead. Anybody. Feel free.
So I think the reason that the Haitian Times even exists is to change the narrative, right? I mean, thank you. Many of you know the founding story that our publisher and founder was at the New York Times, and he decided he really wanted to just tell a different story about Haiti that the New York Times just wasn't going to cover. And so with support from members of the community, he, set off and bootstrapped the Haitian Times, right? So over the past 25 years, our 25th year anniversary is coming up in the fall, so please look out for for the invitations. It's been, a struggle, but it's been a good struggle because there's a purpose behind it. And the purpose has been to tell the story of Haitians in a way that shows us as humans, that brings in context, that brings in the complexity, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as you said, Patrick, and to just tell our own story. Because we can't rely on mainstream media to tell our stories. We see it all the time, that the mainstream media, you know, some of our best friends are in mainstream media, but they have responsibilities. They're talking to an international or national audience. So for your story to rise to the top, it really has to be exceptional. But we can't wait for our story to like rise to the top, right, of A1 or above the scroll, as we say now. And that's why we have to fill in that space in between so that we don't become complicit in our own erasure. And erasure has been on my mind a lot lately because I look at our aging population, you know, my mom's generation. I see the passing of all our wonderful musicians, you know, who are just, they're leaving us. And when we're looking at who's going to cover the story or write an obituary about who this person was and, you know, their impact on compa music, on the culture, you know, on the Duvalier regime, all of that, we have to dig deep and try to bring in that context from people of Patrick's generation, right? My parents' generation, to try to explain to a new audience why this person matters, right? Or why, for example, Guy Philippe is a big deal right now, right? Anytime we put up something about him on Instagram or Twitter, the reaction is really bizarre. Because on the one hand, just as a quick aside, on the one hand, people are saying, who's paying you to do this, right? And we're asking ourselves, paying us to do what? Because we can't tell. Some comments are saying it looks like we're being paid to talk him up, and others are saying we're being paid to talk him down. So we're in the middle, like we don't know which. And part of the issue is that our own audience, our own people, you know, need to understand how the media works, like Ceci was saying. There's a lot of work to be done in terms of media literacy for, like, across our community. I think people at NHAEON, the politicians, elected officials, you're doing great work, but there's room to grow when it comes to understanding how to engage with the media, with the community. We don't have our purpose, like I said, is to tell our whole community story, so we can't jump to cover your event unless there's an engaging reason for it to be happening. If you're not out in the community actually having events and interacting with people, right? For us to have something to photograph or talk to other people about to understand the impact, it's not going to meet the criteria for finding a reporter or photographer to go and cover it. So I think the big takeaway for our elected officials is, you know, we need to see you more in the community. I understand that your constituents are not Haitians only. I totally get that, right? But there are Haitians inside your constituent base. And so for you to have events, make sure there are Haitian voices there. That's always going to show the breadth and depth of our community. So going back to the erasure piece, we want to talk about what's going on here as Haitian Americans, what's happening in D.C., you know, who used to be in the part of the elite class in Haiti, who's now sitting in D.C., New York, and Miami, and, you know, playing the same games that we saw not work out in Haiti. Those are things we have to talk about. And as Patrick said, people will tell you in private things that they will not ever tell you in public. But having your own media organization or people in the media who understand those nuances, who understand where a story could go and push for a different conversation, that's what we have to do. But we can't do it if we're not getting the story from you by having active engagement on a regular basis and not only around election season.
All right, thank you. You can go with the same question there. Remember, we were talking about framing the perception there. Because if it's need to change it, to see whose role to change it.
Just I would like to add, there is a great collaboration. There was a great collaboration between Haitian Times and Island Magazine at the time. In 1996, when Jean-Robert Philippot and Tamara Philippot came to Haiti, I was at that time with Porte Forte de Haiti, and they asked me to help them. So Island Magazine at that time was only half hour from NPR to Cable Top, covering Miami and Palm Beach. And when they asked me to share the news that I was showing on Island TV, on Tele Haiti to Miami, I said, okay, no problem. There's a Haitian community in Miami. It's good to share our news with them. And at that time, Island Magazine was, I would say in French, c'était la coqueluche de la communauté, because people was watching what was going on in Haiti. And bon, Island TV in grandi, qu'on y allait, on télévision 24/24, but Haitian Time was always there, and we used to broadcast promo for Haitian Times. The same même logique là pour montrer ça communauté a fait, ça Haïti a fait, ça Haïti a fait en Haïti, ça Haïti a fait dans la communauté, ça Haïti New York a fait. And the year after, when I met Gary Pierre at the Carnival in New York, Labor Day Carnival, so moi j'étais content pour voir comment Haïti a fait le Carnaval Labor Day dans New York. Donc nous commençons qu'on y a vu mettre en l'autre logique dans les médias. Qu'on y a, c'est pas network qui peut faire son baou. On peut faire son bail communautaire. On ne peut pas dépendre seulement de big network qui ont même gagné l'émission. You just say that. You gain l'émission, you gain un petit bout de temps pour vous. Et généralement, you intervenu when things is bad in Haiti. So you will see ABC, CBS, CNN when there's a coup d'etat in Haiti, or there is a earthquake, or you go catastrophe that you have. So, but every day I have to work. Every day you have to work. I have to report to the community. Every day we have something to show to the community. So, la responsabilité pas nous vient beaucoup plus grande à un moment ça, parce que nous avons obtenu l'information de nous-mêmes. Nous besoin de connaître ce qui s'est passé dans la communauté par eux. Nous besoin de connaître ce que les politiciens ont fait. Local politicians, they need to know what they are doing. But the moon say, des fois, to go on some the expectation from them. Like a mayor, was it a mayor in
No Florida, no Florida, don't get me killed.
But sometimes people can call you to ask you for some question that you're not able to answer.
Yes.
That we need to educate also the audience and let them know that the mayor has a mission, the elected official has a mission, the commission has a mission. The former candidate, I see her first here, Lauren Olatochi. So now he has her candidate to thank. She's a hard working woman for the community. But we need to show those people to the audience, let them know that we are people working for you. And now the NHAEON has a good responsibility to step up, because Haiti is in a very bad shape. Haiti is at the worsening situation. So we need to step up and let people know in Washington that we cannot keep tolerate the way you are addressing the Haitian issue, the Haitian crisis.
All right. Thank you very much, and appreciate that. Now, I know time is an issue right now, but we're trying to make sure we can limit it there. Ms. Samuel Jones, I'll say Jones. Okay, I'm going to give you the opportunity to still move on this one, and also to the second one, which everybody's going to talk about that one. Being a nation, decent. Okay, it's the same thing. C'est haïtien et tout. But how do you feel? I would even say that. What could you say your duties toward Haiti, and how is it perceived? When you do the news,
I've always been proud to say c'est haïtien.
Huh?
I said I've always been proud to say c'est haïtien.
Exactly.
You know, it's not an easy thing, and it takes courage for us to say who we are because of the narratives that prevail.
Yes.
And Mayor, you were talking about the importance of framing that narrative.
Yes.
Why is that important? Because it determines who's at the table, who gets invited to the table when the decision makers, like the government of the United States, are putting forth policies that affect us, not only here, but at home, right? So that's why it's so important. As Haitian kids, what do we hear? You're going to become a doctor. Are you going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, a nurse, or an engineer? Why aren't we saying, are you going to be a journalist? Why aren't we supporting? Because if we want to control our story, not just, we need to be growing journalists that are going to be moguls who are going to keep creating more of the networks and newspapers that are ours. And we need to put forth and train those journalists. Where are the scholarships? How are we supporting the next generation, the current generation of journalists who are going to the CNNs? By the way, I was at CNN DC. There were 500 people. I was one of 2 Haitians, and the other one left to Atlanta. I think we kind of passed each other. Everyone kept saying, do you know so-and-so? Do you know, in order for a story to be greenlit, or anything to pass, doesn't matter what your industry is, for a vote, in order for something to pass, you need 30% of that population in the room, at the table. So are we growing journalists? Are we nurturing the ones who are going to tell our stories? It's wonderful to be a doctor. We need them. We need lawyers. God knows I spend a lot of time. I should have gone to law school too, because I end up. Don't we end up like confronting legal issues all the time? Because we have to tell the truth and the story, because the implications of not getting it right are very grave. I don't have to tell all of you. You guys are an educated audience. But like Patrick was saying, we also have to educate people. We have to educate those audiences. What are we doing to promote the next generation and the current generation of journalists? If you don't know what their names are, you should. And that means you're not fully as engaged in participating in changing the narrative that when we go out into the world, we live with and carry the stigma.
All right, thank you. Excellent. I'm going to go a little bit out of the list of questions I have there. We mentioned that based on what we saw today. Someone asked me, what are you going to do? From nowadays, when someone has a camera or be on social media, they have an account and just put there, and everybody says it's a news, they call them journalists. What's your brief? I'm going to give you 1 minute for each of you. What do you think? What's your thought? Let us understand what is the real journalism, real news media. I'm just saying.
As a person who's not currently a working journalist in the newsroom, I will tell you, until you have been edited by one of these people who have asked you the questions, who told you that? How do you know this is true? Bring me the data. Where did that data come from? It's not news. Just because you have a camera and you take a picture, if you don't know what the context is, it's not news. It may be entertaining, but it's not news. And just because we want to believe it to be true, because someone wrote a caption, doesn't make it true. Until you've been edited by someone who painstakingly, because if Patrick gets it wrong,
Thank you. We're going to go. I'm going to teach you briefly. As you see, from time to time, we have the time. Let's go ahead briefly, because I got 2 other important questions.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I have the
That's why I
audience.
said
Go ahead.
we have the responsibility of what we are saying and what we are reporting. What I'm saying in the radio is Patrick Higgins. It's also my face on identity. And I have to do it right. And I'm doing that since 1980.
All right. Thank you.
1,000%. 1,000%. I think everyone thinks they could be a
A little bit louder, please.
Yeah, everyone thinks they can be a media diva if you just put up something on YouTube. But that's actually doing a disservice to our community, because they spread a lot of disinformation and misinformation, and it makes it a lot harder. Part of that is intentional on some people's parts. Others think they can bypass, the media because they're just like, oh, I'll just put it up myself, right? I mean, they learn the hard way, the pros and cons of not doing that. But I think our community can definitely use, like I mentioned, some more media literacy, training in different forms that could take, and to just be more discerning. Just because it's on WhatsApp doesn't mean it actually happened. I mean, these deep fakes and AI and all of it, our community is really in a vulnerable position when it comes to just taking things they see on WhatsApp as true.
All right, thank you very much. We got 13 minutes left. That's good. You did very good so far, and we need to honor the audience in a few questions. But let me ask you 2 more questions there, briefly as possible. Our role as media, how do you think, briefly, if you could give me an example briefly, what do you think, how we can put the pressure on the U.S. policy? Because they're listening, they're watching, and how you present it, frame it, that how you think the effect can be on it, beneficial or deficient for Haiti. I'm asking any question. Yeah.
I'll repeat something that came up in one of our pop-up conversations about what happened to Dr. Claudine Gay at Harvard. And one of our professors, our very first Haitian American college president, said we need like a spokesperson for the Haitian community, right? But to have a spokesperson, you need to have the work done to figure out what the talking points are going to be so that person or that group can actually speak with the one voice that Stacy mentioned. So I think there's a real opportunity for NHAEON to take charge of that, framing what's important for Haitian Americans in this country that we want to lobby for and try to get funding for, to push to go through Washington. We can't wait for just the State Department or people here, one off here who happen to know the right folks, in D.C. to be the ones making the decisions. That's not a sustainable, effective, strategy for a community. So I think we really need to figure out what do we want? Like, what are our top 3 priorities? And let's build our stories around that if we really want to make change in Haiti.
Excellent. Listen, I'm going to have used the applaud because by you answer this question, the way you answered, you already answered the next question. Yes, how can we leverage NHAEON's power? We've already done it. So keep on going, the 2 of you. Thank you very much.
She's right. I knew she was under pressure. Dr. Gay. She was under pressure because when you have all those big donors step up, so when they're trying to, like I said, they have font carnage at the Congress. They have font carnage de même at the Congress. She resisted, but she couldn't make it. When I heard the news, I called my first friend, the yellow girl, the lady wearing yellow thing. She was in Tigouave because I said Dr. Nicolas would probably give me and a better idea on that text. Because she's at the UM, she wasn't there. She wasn't there. That was my first call, my first text. Unfortunately, she wasn't there. But Claudine was by herself. I'd never seen any in any media. Okay. I see something wrong?
All right.
I never seen any
yes,
media talking about Claudine.
All right.
That's a shame for me. Well,
all right.
I never seen any. I'm not a Haitian. I'm not a Haitian. I'm not African American. So in this case, I made a big difference. I never seen any Haitian American.
All right.
Thank you for the information.
All right. We're moving on to this. We would like to hear our distinguished panelists, Ms. Samuels, to say what you think. And then right after that, I'm going to move in now to the audience. If you have a question, be ready real quick.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead. Thank you,
Mayor. I'll keep it short. I absolutely agree. This goes back to circles back to what we've been saying about speaking, being there for our leaders as they ascend, being there while they're in the positions. It doesn't matter if they are academics, or politicians or work for government or the head of enterprise. We need to be there for them. And I'm going to say what we need to do. Listen, there's no shortage of fellow citizens and brothers and sisters. We have the head of the Urban League who's going to be speaking here.
Yes, please.
Okay? I mean, yes, well, most New Orleanians are, by the way. They will tell you, even if they don't know it or admit it. But why aren't we talking to them about how we can organize? Because when there are politicians and the government who are looking for, well, what does the Haitian American, population say? Because they won't ask if they don't think we're gonna vote. Remember, 1.2 million of us determine whether or not they get to stay in power or make their life comfortable or easy or not, right? So what I suggest is we make sure we know, because when we hear and we see, oh, NHAEON says, we know that means all of the organizations, right? Who's our umbrella? Who brings us together? Who brings us together?
All right. Listen, the topic discussion is so deep, so rich, so important, especially about Haiti, and I just want you to put your hands, because we don't have enough time, but put your hands together for them. Did you enjoy them? Are they doing a good job? Okay, I want them to know that. Thank you very much. You represent us very well, and so much now. It's your opportunity to have to answer whatever question they have. So we're going to ask you to make it quicker. We might bring you we're going to bring the microphone to them. Okay, please, quick. Make it short, answer to precise, so they can answer it real quick. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Tien, president of the Haitian Alliance Nurses Association, which consists of all the nurses. Hannah, the Haitian nurses. You asked a very good question. Who puts us together? Oftentimes, we do things in silos, and we need to know who sits at the table. We have our own chairwoman here for the Haitian American Professionals Coalition, and the coalition has several professional organizations. And so take time to find out and do the network part. Who is Gerda Nicola? Who is, come on, that's my leader. Who is Dr. Nicola? You also need to find out who is Dr. Floor, because it's all about bringing people together. So I don't want us to crucify or blame on ourselves, beat ourselves down. The most important thing is that we just need to know who's who, and do your homework and find out how can we collectively bring the agenda together. Thank you.
Okay, yes. Remember, if we have a question directly to them, we want them to respond to you quick. We have only 4 minutes. So make it quick so you can give your answer quickly. Go ahead. Real quick.
Bonjour. My name is Wad Joseph, and I'm currently running for the U.S. Senate in Florida. So, one thing to...
Direct question. I'm sorry for
that's
that.
That's what I'm saying. One thing, that's the question. Yes. I'm going to. Yes. You done? All right. Question. You said for the narrative, we have to create the narrative for the media to pick up what represent us. When you speak, no one heard you. Is that still make a change? Because not because they don't know or they don't heard. We create the narrative. They pick and choose the content. Now, if we're not aware of the content, how we fix that?
I think that's a very interesting question. I think it's a legitimate question, but it takes a certain level of sophistication. As McElvey was saying, not every story that you create is going to rise because you think it's a story. I got 15 people from my church and my organization and my campaign together, and we're standing here. That doesn't necessarily make it a strong enough story. Now, if you got 15,000, how strong it will represent how strong your grassroots campaign is. Now you got a story. right? You see the difference? There's a level of sophistication, but where does that come from of a story? That comes from how much work is put behind it and how viral it goes. How many people catch fire are following you? That's what it is. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Raise your hand if you have a question. If not, we're going to bypass. Go ahead.
Am I authorized for comments? Comments, no questions? Okay. I want, no, if it's, okay. I want it to be recorded that living here, people needs to know very important information. When it's women mothers in the diaspora, people needs to refer to Haitian Ladies Network. When it's, yes, you need to applaud and put that because they made effort and they exist. And also Clay. When it's education matters, you have Dr. Nicola and you have Dr. Landor Latortu. Wish I never used that name, Dr. Flor. For the issue of Dr. Gay, we did made statement. We need to know where to go. For her, statement were made also on LinkedIn. Media is also news, like you represent here, but media also needs to be redefined and re-educated because they confuse news and public relation, and you guys did a good job on that, and you need to be applauded.
I'll just add one thing really quickly, if I may add, right? Because I think we suffer from short-term, like this reactionary mindset, right? If you're running an event and you're like, come cover my event, I have 500 people. Okay, 500 I might go. 50, not so much. But I think there's a difference we need to be aware of between thinking short-term and saying, look how awesome an event I had, versus being consistent and having a plan where you're showing you've been working over time on this issue or this community, and these are the fruits of your labor, because that shows your passion, the purpose, and why you're out there doing something, like having a rally or whatever, a book, different campaigns, political campaigns you have. People run for office every day of the week, you know? You have to show how you're doing the work on the ground to get the interest. And so that's why I mentioned before, you have to be engaged. You have to be in the community, you know, beat the pavement and show that you're really in this for the community and not just for your immediate self-interest.
All right, thank you. Because of time, we really I don't want to be in trouble with them.
I'll be very direct.
Okay, hold on. Well, yeah, it's not me. It's just the time. Okay, I understand. I'm gonna say. Let me make it quick. Okay, it's already 1 minute to 11 o'clock, so we're gonna take this question here, and I want to make sure we conclude with it. Okay, we'll take two questions, and we've got to make it quick. And answer one person. I'm told one person. Okay, so it's not me.
Thank you. So my name is Wolf Pamphile. I'm the founder of Haiti Policy House. So my question is, how do you instill courage for people to express themselves? Because in our community, there's a fear of speaking out. Fear, even if you live in the U.S., some people don't want to speak about things that are happening in Haiti because of fear what might happen to them here or their families in Haiti. So when you're promoting expression, journalism, how do you promote courage to the people to like, hey, feel free to speak out regardless of what might happen?
I'm going to go back to the very first thing we said in the beginning. The truth will prevail. If you're speaking truth and you know that this matters to people, that will protect you. That will give you, I think, the cover you'll need from journalists who are looking for that story. If you come with your facts and your statements, your people, to say this happened to me, this is why this matters, this is why we need a policy change around economic empowerment, jobs, healthcare, the truth will be your what's the word I'm looking for? That will be your cradle.
It's different. When it's Tuesday, I know I have my show at 6 o'clock. I'm looking for hot topic. I'm looking for headline news. Like I said earlier about Dr. Gay. When I heard the news and I got my phone, I called Gypsy Letelus, I called Dr. Nicola. And at this moment, I need somebody to talk. And I called a friend of mine in New York. He told me I can do something by Zoom, but that is at 7 o'clock. It's too late for me. I need it what now?
Yeah.
That's the difference between me on the TV, me the matter for the headline news, and her in the newspaper.
Okay.
But
All
I
right.
have to go back. I have to go back. I have to do after. I have to call people for reaction now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Those famous people here, very distinguished, experienced, will be available to answer your question after that. I'm told, I'm going to be cut, you know. I'm told someone from all the way from Arizona to get one short question. That's it. After that, we can
Thank you. My question. So I would like to know what NHAEON can do to help our community, especially in Arizona, where people don't even know Haitian people. You know, when they see them, they just see them as people who just cross the border. But we more than that. How can they do that?
in terms of the media, go ahead, framing the news. Briefly, and
I'm
that's
very
it.
happy
Okay.
to have
All
a conversation with you. It's a much longer conversation and answer because that takes strategy, especially in a red state like Arizona. So please feel free to find me. We can discuss it. You know, we can talk about the kinds of activities, campaigns that can be created for Arizona Public Radio, for local media, in order for it to catch fire and get bigger. So please feel free. But it does mean that I'm going to just keep going back to we need to speak collectively as one voice.
In 10 seconds, your closure, anything you want to say, 10 seconds, each of you, briefly. 10 seconds, you can make it right
Okay, I was happy to be here. I'm enjoying the conference. And bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay.
Just one last thing.
Listen.
I think, the assignment, you know, if you'd like to accept it, is to define your story as an individual, as a family, as a community, and then ultimately as the Haitian diaspora in the U.S.
10 seconds,
we can't
good.
have a story or narrative if we don't know what it is. If we're just reacting to things, we're always going to be pulled in a million different directions. But if we know our story and we stay consistent in telling it, that will help us.
We're done.
Be more fruitful in the
Thank you very much, Ms.
Pick up on one Matt said. We need to empower ourselves. Media cannot change. We have our mandate, but you can change. You can help us help all of us.
Let's applaud our panelists very well. And thank you very much.
Haïti, c'est sant café qu'a monté nan nem le matin, c'est sant la rouse qui fait poser pour fléziser qu'a bougeonner.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Great job. I will continue to speak once I see that everyone is looking at me. And if you're ready, then we're ready. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning.
C'est belle la mer, c'est belle montagne, belle rivière, c'est belle plage à pied cocoyer, bel paysage à belle couleur. Haïti, c'est sans café, qu'a monté dans même les matins, c'est sans la ouze qui fait poser, pour fléziser qu'a bourgeonner. Haïti, c'est bassin blé, cascade pichon avec sodo. C'est Acadien, la citadelle, c'est la bâtie à Marigot. Haïti, c'est la vallée, c'est Port-Sali à Zabrico. C'est Mon la Selle, Pic Macaya, c'est Mamlade à Montville-Bourg. Haïti, son douce Macos, c'est yon point pistache.
DJ, how you doing? Please have a seat. Once again, I'm Honorable Oudson Tyson Francois from New York. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to present two amazing people to you this morning. First, to my right, the Honorable Claudette Davis. Please put your hands together for her. Please put your hands together for her. Come on up real quick. She is, you didn't give me a chance to read up on her, but she's the chair of the event. So let's try that one more time. Let's put our hands together for her. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that this amazing young lady is, an amazing neighborhood commissioner, and we're none other than Washington, D.C. right here, a pillar here, moving. This woman here is about movement for the people. And I also want to introduce to you guys none other than this young man, straight out of Chicago, Honorable Judge Lionel Baptiste. This man is all about the freedom movement. I tell you, when you talk about Chicago, you know this man has a lot to say about Chicago. So put your hands together for them as they're going to introduce the panelists. I don't know which way you're going to see. Yeah, you're going to be up here as well.
Good evening. Good evening, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. This is an amazing panel that we've set up today. The goal of this panel is to just talk about how to collaborate. It's this ongoing theme of collaboration and what we learned in 2023 working on the Haiti Criminal Collusion Transparency Act. And I worked with some amazing people who I will call up. Mr. Johnny Celestine is currently a deputy director in New York City's Mayor's Office of Minority and Women-Owned Business Enterprises. He's also a faculty member at the Studley Graduate Program and International Affairs Program at the New School University. Please give him a round of applause. And I have Ms. Kim Lamberty. Dr. Kim Lamberty is the Quixote Center's executive director. She's been developing and managing faith-based justice, peace, cross-cultural, and community service programs for over 25 years. She's also the founder and president of Just Haiti, a fair trade coffee company that focuses on economic justice for vulnerable, small-scale farmers in Haiti. Please give a round of applause to Dr. Kim Lamberty. Up next is Pastor Jimmy Loiseau. Since 2015, Pastor Jimmy has been actively engaged in serving the community through the ministry of the Tabernacle of Glory in Miami, Florida, under Bishop Gregory Toussaint, where he currently holds the position of Director of Family Counseling and Director of Community Relations. Please give a round of applause to Pastor Loiseau. And last but not least, Alex Sadler. Alex Sadler has served as Senior Policy Advisor for Latin America and the Caribbean at the Open Society Foundations, where he focuses on supporting and building out advocacy infrastructure through the United States to build out a more robust, humane foreign policy towards the region. Please, let's welcome Mr. Alex Sadler. And then my amazing co-moderator, Honorable Judge Lionel Jean-Baptiste, who's also one of the founding members of NHAEON, is a firm believer in the notion that freedom, justice, and equity are not free, and that one should not simply observe the world, but should engage in the process of changing it for the better. To that end, he has worn many hats. He served as a civil service commissioner for the city of Evanston in Chicago. He is a member of the NAACP, the Canal Park Neighbors, and the Haitian American Community Association. He is a founder of the Evanston Youth Initiative. He's the founder and chairman emeritus of the Haitian Congress to Fortify Haiti and the Haitian Congress for Civic Engagement PAC, and a founding member of the Haitian Relief Fund of Illinois. Please give a rounding applause to Judge Lionel. So this will be the run of show. We'll do about 20 minutes of Q&A with the panelists, and then about 10 minutes of Q&A with the panelists and you, and then we'll do closing statements. So first and foremost, I wanted to just briefly describe the Criminal Collusion Transparency Act. So this was a continuation on what we did last year. So as you know, NHAEON does a leadership summit every year, and it's usually in a different state. And this year is the first time in Washington, D.C. So 2023 was in New Jersey, and we had a lively discussion on Haiti and advocacy, and people saying NHAEON does these meetings every year and nothing happens every year. So I said, you know what? I said, this group is ready. This group is ready to do a little bit more activism, to really call on members of the community, to call their members of Congress. We're ready. We're ready. So I would like to give the opportunity for Johnny to speak a little bit on what came out of that meeting and what we did after that. Just briefly talk about that. The Haiti meeting in New Jersey last year.
Got it. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. Going into that meeting, there was a lot of preliminary work that was done, and part of that work really was related to understanding what the community wanted to see happen. And it was one of the rare times in which we had a very lively discussion about what we should focus on. And obviously, as we've been talking about here, the question of policy, influencing policy, was one of the key things that came out. And I just have to really give you a lot of credit for taking that and running with it, because it came out of that meeting. And so you begun to mobilize. And really, we're talking about really thinking about what can we do on something that already has wind behind its back. And obviously the key question for the community, and still is the key question for the community, is the question of crimes in Haiti. And so what could we do from the perspective of Haitian Americans here to have an impact on that? Hence the bill that was drafted. And the next thing then became, how do you turn that into something real? And that's when the real work begins. The first thing I think was to begin to develop some evidence around what you can do. And I think quite often the challenge we have, and we've seen it we are, and I've heard it through various sessions earlier today, we are excited or we are angry and we want to see change and we want to react, but there are rules of engagement, right? There's a way things get done. And one of the ways is that you need to figure out what are the policies that exist, what are the laws that exist, and what are the players that can affect those laws. Sometimes, and I was in the preacher with the preachers earlier on, sometimes God gives you some work to do, and you don't necessarily have all of the tools, but it's there, and you need to find it. And so one of the things that I saw was, not only do you essentially find the evidence, meaning that looking at what are the policies that exist, what are the influence that we have, what are the inflection points that are there, how can we affect those things? And so that's the evidence component. The next piece then was to actually convince other people. So obviously you craft a certain policy, you need to talk to people about it. Obviously NHAEON talked about it within the groups, and then you bring it up to other coalition. But then you really need to develop a diverse coalition of folks from across the spectrum, right? And I think we'll talk a little about the faith community's role in that, and I'll let Pastor talk about that at some point. But it also means engaging with people who are activists, people who are advocates, and other community leaders who need to understand what the bill is all about and what you're trying to achieve. Let's just say from the get-go, no bill is ever perfect. Everything in policy making is about iteration. It's building on what was there. So that's the second piece, right? We went from clear goal, backed by evidence, a diverse coalition that was built. The third is really looking at, again, the multi-pronged approach of legislative lobbying, meaning these elected officials who are here are talking to other elected officials. So I know, for example, you talk to a lot of folks here in DC, but I know the chair who's transitioning, Charnette, was talking to her representative in New Jersey, for example, who ended up being the sponsor for this bill. It doesn't happen by accident. I know the folks who are in office, who are in politics, we know this, but for folks who are not in politics or who are not involved in policy making, don't necessarily understand the amount of work that it takes and the background to convince, before you get to the senator or the legislator, you have to really convince their staff. And that requires a lot of legwork. And that requires you to come in with a particular bill, not ideas. And the judge has one, I think we'll talk about it as well. So really presenting that. So legislative lobbying, a grassroots engagement, and a digital campaign, right? And so you've begun to see a lot of this stuff being done online, on Facebook, on Instagram, etc. A lot of WhatsApp messages, some of it positive, some of it negative, but that is part of the process of engaging people to understand what this bill is about and why it needs to happen. I think there's two pieces. Obviously, the bill has moved forward. It hasn't passed. It missed the deadline by just the margin, but I think it showed the possibility of what we can do. And it is really a true model of the ways that we can build on to additional bills that we want to propose. I will close with just two other things that I believe are important. One is transparency and accountability. I think there is an imperative for all of us who work to push this bill to go back. And I know we've done it to some extent, but there is a closing the circle for people who did support this, particularly those of us who marched, right, to say, here's what happened. And again, I know we did that, right? I know the pastor did it. But we need to essentially do a campaign around, here's what we did, here is what happened and where we are and what the next steps are. The second is an evaluation. What could we do better? What did we learn from this particular process, and how do we build on that for the next one? So I'll just turn it over.
That's a perfect segue, thank you, because my next question, I just have two more questions before I get to the judge. Thank you, Judge, for your patience. The next question is, and I want to ask everyone, is what did you learn? And then I'll ask Alex to just kind of build on that. But I just want to briefly interject, because we're talking about this bill and not briefly telling you what this bill is. So basically the bill is it's the Haiti Criminal Collusion Transparency Act that we worked on 2023. And basically what it did was it was a mechanism to create transparency in who was contributing to the gangs in Haiti. And identifying those people and putting economic sanctions on those folks. But it was a way to have some type of, because it's one of those things where everyone knows who's doing what, but there's nothing written down on paper so that you can actually follow through properly, follow through legally. It's so simple, but it was really difficult to get through because a lot of people didn't like it, because it's a pretty impactful bill. But we'll go into next steps. But the key to this was we were building a template to work to figure out how to work with other organizations. And so that's why you see a representation of the faith-based community, nonprofit communities up here, and Alex is, part of a think tank. So I want to hear from Kim and Pastor Loiseau on what did you learn through this process?
Thank you. Hi everyone. It's so nice to be with you all. Really appreciate the invitation, and it's been a great pleasure during the past year to work with Claudette and NHAEON on the Haiti Criminal Collusion Transparency Act. And Quixote Center is a small nonprofit. We focus mostly on economic development, but we also identify specific U.S. foreign policies that impact Haiti very directly, and we advocate with our government on those policies. Our perspective is that in U.S. advocacy on issues related to Haiti, the Haitian American community is the leader. Right? We want to support what the Haitian American community has organized around, and that's one of the reasons why we chose to work on the Haiti Criminal Collusion Transparency Act, because NHAEON was taking the lead and we wanted to support that work. So, and I feel like that's one of my most important messages, really, that the solidarity community in the U.S. wants to support initiatives of the Haitian American community, and the invitation is for you all to step up into that leadership role on policies that impact Haiti. So, and there are ways in which that has worked really well. So, for example, I was in a meeting not with members of the Haitian American community, but with members of the Haiti Solidarity community, which I would consider Quixote Center one of. I was in a meeting in Senator Markey's office last week. And what happened with Senator Markey is that a large group of his Massachusetts Haitian American constituents had organized. And I think that's largely because of Faith in Action. So I'm looking at, Faith in Action over there. I do think it's largely because of Faith in Action that they had organized and really gotten Senator Markey on board. And by the time those of us from the Solidarity community got in there, Senator Markey was like, what do you want us to do? But we're following the lead of what the Haitian American community has already done, right? And where it hasn't worked, a second example would be Quixote Center is a Maryland-based nonprofit, right? So we would obviously focus first on Maryland, members of Congress, and we met with Senator Cardin. Claudette came with us for at least one of those meetings, and at times when we've met with Senator Cardin, his office has basically said, well, I get different groups in here telling me different things. And lots of members of Congress have told us that. They're hearing, like, different groups of constituents come into their office, they say different things, and they don't know exactly how to vote on issues related to Haiti. They're looking for leadership from their Haitian American constituents, and they're not getting. And I'm not saying there's no way you can have one voice. People are going to disagree about things. On the other hand, it's really important to have to reach some sort of consensus on certain things that you want to work on, and then it really helps in terms of our advocacy work if we're not speaking with multiple voices and perhaps even opposing or contradicting voices. So to reach that consensus and then step into your leadership role is really, to me, the lesson that I would want to share.
Thank you, Kim. Pastor Loiseau.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much, NHAEON, for having us here. It's an honor and privilege to represent Tabernacle of Glory and Bishop as well. This is the first time where, as a church, we took this initiative. We got connected with NHAEON, Claudette, and we kind of talked, and then she presented us with this bill. I think it was like back in March, I believe. And we looked at it. A team of us looked at it, and we said, okay, let's put our might behind it. We didn't know what we to expect, to be honest with you, because again, as I said in the last thing, our faith-based community is very divided when it comes to anything that deals with government. That's it, and it stems from their experience back home. And I've said this before, our community in general, and there are pockets that are different, but our community in general is about 60 to 70 years behind compared to the Cubans and the Hispanics and other groups who have leveraged help for their country. And so that's just a fact. We are behind. Growing up, in my household, and you couldn't think about going into politics, because there are certain career paths they told you no, it was bad. So the concept is just ingrained in us, and I said before, this is the first time that I have seen that so many Haitian Americans are in different places of influence that can leverage things for Haiti. But our problem is, just as the doctor has said it, even though most of us are in positions that our parents could have never imagined, we are in positions all over all 50 states. The problem is we have pockets of groups that are talking to different representatives, and we are divided in terms of what we want to do. So when we come in to want to do something, they're getting 2 or 3, 5, 6, 7, 10 different groups talking. And that's a major problem, because history has proven we have different sectors, and every sector has an agenda, and it's okay. But we're trying as a people, not as sectors, as a people, to help our country. And that's the vision that we're missing. And so that's one thing I have learned, is that, wow, for as much as we say, Haiti, no, we really truly don't, because if we did, and we don't, and so I'm seeing these things, and that's one of the lessons I'm learning. We don't have a leader or leaders to galvanize our community. Say, hey, listen, I know you got this interest, I know you got your interest, but let's focus on this here, and the other things can come. The other things can come. We have to have that consensus where it's not perfect. The bill is not perfect. There are things that are missing. There are things we can add. We get that. But this would be the first time Haitian community got together with a voice and says, this, hear us now. We want this now. And so in getting involved with NHAEON and meeting different leaders and different senators and Congress and Congress people, and it's the same message. And so I'll say this: we're not giving up on the Collusion Act. We're still working, because it doesn't solve Haiti's problem, but what it does is it puts us in a place to do other things. It puts us, we can come together. We can galvanize. We can have differences, but we can still have a unified voice in trying to do something. before we get into all the details and nitty gritty. So it's one of the things that I've learned in the past year and a half, working. And so I hope that my hope and prayer is that we can really find a way to get all of us together in one voice and just really help our country, lift itself from this situation.
Thank you, Pastor Wazo. And this is a perfect segue into what Alex is going to say, because Alex, he actually worked for Congressman Meeks, who is he is a senior member on the House side. So Alex knows exactly who, what, how in Washington, D.C. So the way D.C. works, honestly, is politicians and members. I worked on the Senate side as well, in the U.S. Senate for a really long time. What they do is, as you're here, D.C. doesn't really have a Haitian culture. So there's all these things happening in Haiti, but no one in D.C., all these policymakers, they don't see it in their faces. They don't run into Haitians on a regular basis. They know what they see on television, which is why we had this panel on the media and perceptions. And so it's really on us to do the outreach in Washington, D.C. Members of Congress, people who work in the White House, they're reading the things that these think tank organizations are writing. And a lot of them are not Haitian. So, which is another reason why I've got Alex here, because he holds a lot of weight. And it's, he's someone that a lot of you need to know. Thank you, Alex. If you can talk to us on how to leverage think tank organizations, how to leverage, what is the best thing people can do when they're trying to leverage policies in Washington, D.C. for Haiti?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Claudette, and it's so good to be here with all of you today. And thanks for the question. So, I think I'll talk a little bit about sort of how we see things at the Open Society Foundations, but more so I'm going to start and focus on, I think, my experience as a congressional staffer working on the House Foreign Affairs Committee with Chairman Meeks, where, I had the honor and privilege of advising him for 2 years on Latin American Caribbean issues, including Haiti, of course, as well as Chairman Engel before him for another 2 years. Let me just start off with this, is the... in preparation for this talk, I was looking back and thinking, these last 5 years, all the work that I've been doing and how I see, U.S. policy towards Haiti changing. And, I'll be honest, and it's disappointing in the sense of, it's like we've been trying, and I know there are so many groups right out here who have been doing the work, and yet we look at what happened is we had, these 4 years of Trump where continue the status quo, right, as usual, continue to neglect what's going on, and then we have Biden come back and we hope for some change. And, as much as I want to stand here and support, the incumbent president, it's hard to see any real meaningful changes. And I think what's frustrating too is I think back to my time with Chairman Meeks, in the last Congress, where we were extremely active. We held 2 full committee hearings on Haiti, with folks from Haiti and Haitian civil society voices. The first full committee hearings on Haiti in over 8 years. We had letters with, Representative Jeffries, who's now obviously in Democratic leadership, with 70 members of Congress on Haiti, where we got, a special envoy to Haiti. That didn't last very long. We've had briefings and multiple different sorts of events, and yet, it's all not been able to move the needle very much, and that's extremely frustrating. And now here in my new position, where I've been for over about a year, we've been trying to do some similar advocacy work, and bringing folks from Haiti, like Pierre Esperance or Valina Charlier or other partners, to DC to meet with staffers and members, and and I think they appreciate it, and it's important. We've been able to get letters out, but yet I think none of that is gonna. All of that is complementary and is important, but is not going to be there unless there's a real strong movement from the constituencies, right? From the districts, from the states. Because at the end of the day, from the Haitian people, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, these members of Congress are accountable not to me as an advocate, not to Pierre even, as an advocate from Haiti, but to their constituents, right? And if you don't move that, then that's the problem. Because let's also be clear too, is most members of Congress are not that interested in what's going on in Haiti, and they're not that interested in what's going on in foreign policy in general. Andy Levin was a unicorn, right? A guy who's independently very interested, lived in Haiti, right? Sheila Sherflis McCormick right now is a unicorn. Hopefully she's the first of many others, right? But right now we don't have Haitian Americans in Congress except for her. So, what that means is that the only reason and the only way to get folks to respond and to put pressure is by actually being active in the districts. And that's why, I think NHAEON holds so much weight in that sense, because not only do all of you come from all over the country representing many different constituencies, but you're also in positions of power as elected officials. And so what does that mean is obviously, you all know better than me as mayors, as state lawmakers, that, that members of Congress need your coordination, your support, right? Because it's really hard for them a lot of times to go back and talk about how good their projects that they're funding are doing without you all there to implement these things. So, I think that's an important point of leverage here. And yeah, when it comes to the think tanks, again, I think there is some really great work being done by some organizations. I think I think I look at Jake Johnston with CEPR, who's got a new book coming out on Tuesday called Aid State that I think is really doing some interesting work, sort of really doing some oversight. And then we have some organizations, like some of the more traditional ones where even like the CSISs and the Brookings of the world have put out some reports, but yet those are not Haitian led. They're not Haitian folks, and they don't carry the same weight. And so I think really what's important is two things. I think is one, I wanted to the pressure from the districts, from the states, because that's how you really push it. But then also I wanted to touch on what Johnny said about coming with a bill ready, right? Coming with an actual tangible piece of legislation, because I'll also let you in on another not so secret is that congressional staffers and members don't often know that much about what they're talking about, right? I mean, the saying goes is that their portfolio is a mile wide and an inch deep. So that means they got to cover a ton of different things. And, and the truth is you have a Congress member from Colorado, for example, and their foreign policy staffer is not just their foreign policy staffer, it's their healthcare staffer, right? Their economy staffer. And it's like, so how could this person have the time and energy to go deep in? So what does that mean? That means that they rely on us, on people like you, right, to give them that information, to really arm them, which is where the think tanks can play a role as, again, a sort of a critical information sharing resource, but also on the legislation piece itself. Because I think, when you come in with a real draft, a framework to build off of, that makes things so much easier for folks to get behind. They're probably going to want to make their tweaks here and there and edits, but, to come in with the work done rather than saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that. No, it's different. So, and I know there are a few other things that I'll touch on as we go on, but, I think I wanted to start that there. So thank you again, and happy to pass it back.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And I really want to emphasize this point on the Haitian community constituency. Really, no one's thinking about Haiti but us. No one's having conversations every day but us. No one's having these meetings like this about Haiti but us. So please just keep that in mind, to know that if there's anything you need to do, anything you want, call your member of Congress, link up with other organizations, and try link up with NHAEON, and just let's try to work to just build some type of collaborate and work together on any outreach on the Hill. This leads us to Honorable Judge Lionel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the progress that NHAEON has made from 2009, when there were about 12 to 20 of us or so. We now 150 plus. So there's great evolution taking place. And to come from 2009, there was some preceding kind of work, right?
Haitians who did come together and who may not have been elected officials and others were engaged in work. So the work has been cumulative, objectively, even though subjectively we may lag behind in terms of our leadership and strategizing what's going on. So my analysis is on the basis that we are at a particular stage in our movement that oftentimes we don't look at some of the hard factors. We are 4 generations deep in this country. We are between, in my opinion, close to 8 to 10 million folks. See, the Jewish community, they don't count folks who just came from Israel. You know, they look at multi-generations. And sometimes when we submit to counting ourselves, we think it's the nouveau venu, folks who just came from Haiti. We have multiple generations. I have a 26-year-old grandchild, okay, Haitian, all right? Haitian, American, whatever you call her, but she understands who she is. And her humanity is defined by being Haitian, right? And so we have people. In 2008 and 2012, Haitians in Florida were the X factors for the election of Barack Obama in Florida. Okay? So we understand that. And when Trump ran against Hillary, he went to Little Haiti and said, I'm going to take care of you. Because he understood the value of Haitians, right? He understood the numbers. And then the last election with Biden, didn't he go and genuflect in the Haitian Community Center in Little Haiti? So they understand our value. We underestimate our own value, and we have not been. So we have not been taking into account where we are and what we need to do. With our numbers and the votes that we have and the potential, we ought to be able to command a lot of attention. And so it is about trying to mobilize those votes, organizing, and as elected officials, we have to, wherever we are, try to influence, because even though NHAEON is a nonpartisan 501c3 organization, for those of you who are in office, you run on a partisan basis for the most part. So you can leverage that and demand accountability and advocate for the positions that you think ought to be advocated for. We still need to do work in NHAEON to form some kind of pact that can build an alliance between NHAEON and other community organizations so that we can leverage our politics, right? So we have a lot of work to do, and we have a lot of potential, and lobbying is one of the things we got to look at and maybe transform this 501c3 into some kind of foundation and then move to build that pact so we could be clear in terms of our politics and advocacy. Now, having said that, let me just read a little statement from a 19th century architect in the Chicago area who said, "Make no little plans. They have no magic to stir men and women's blood." Don't do little plans. Alphonse Tiba tout petit et vous comprenez que tout le monde va courir dehors. These do not stir our blood. So I have been in the legislative committee of NHAEON from, I thought, its inception, but by the time I got in it and this proposed collusion bill was put on the table, I said, wait a minute. It's not going to You know, I then began to submit some amendments. And I thought I was operating in the context of, really open, transparent kind of debate. And so I did ask Claudette for alternate bills. What format can we follow? And she had turned me on to Bill S-1061 from Senator Porton, from whatever state he's from. And in the midst of the pandemic, 2021, they got $38 billion to Israel. And it was for normalization of relationship with Israel. So I looked at that bill, and I then proposed an alternative pathway. And that alternative is now what have been characterized by our policy subcommittee in Chicago, the L'Ouverture Foreign Assistance Act. And we've taken, and this is about trying to advance a Marshall Plan for Haiti, a Marshall Plan that can support economic development. We know that without economic development and jobs and activities in the society, insecurity will prevail. We think it will help us move forward with security. We also think that good governance, if you don't have governance, you can't manage anything. So the bill is looking at these three major objectives, but at the same time, we know there's a lot of subcategories in terms of operationally implementation, tactical implementation to move the process forward. So the bill itself, I've already advanced and submitted to my Congresswoman, Jan Chakowski, and their policy people are looking at it. And I appreciate all of the lessons that we learned. We can use those lessons to try to advance this kind of big plan. Because we are asking for $50 billion, people, because Haiti will cost that much more to get the work done. And I'm not talking about that this is the only pathway, but I'm suggesting that NHAEON and other allied organizations begin to think about that big plan that we can push forward, even if it needs amendment, modification, or whatever. Let's get the help of all the advocacy groups, the think tanks, and everything else, but around a big plan that can excite our interests. So that's why I'm on this panel, because I've been arguing for an alternative voice. And I understand that the work that is being done, and I appreciate the chair of our conference and the chair of our legislative committee initiative, but I'm saying that it doesn't, the collusion plan to try to get, Gang Akavat to report Gang Asapat, it's not going to work. So and when I say it's not going to work, it's not going to excite our interests. So NHAEON has to adopt a larger vision, a larger plan, and build on the lessons learned from everyone, Pastor Gregory, Alex, and the Quixote support think tank. But we have to dream much larger than what is being proposed. So that's all.
Thank you, thank you. We will have to end a bit early because Senator Whitehouse is here and the team needs to clean off these tables. So I have time for, honestly, I'll leave time for just, it's crazy, but I need, all right, you know what, no. So I just need three, just the questions? Just the questions.
No, not three. We can't, we have to flip the entire room.
Yeah.
So we can keep talking outside, and we all have to
All right, I'm sorry. Closing remarks. But just keep it short. Starting with Kim, closing remarks, if we can keep it short. I'm sorry, guys. We got to flip the room. I'm sorry. I just learned this. But we can keep, the whole goal is to keep the conversation going outside of this.
Yeah, so I'll just say quickly, it does seem like the message of all of us is very similar, right? Which is an invitation to the Haitian American community to step into your leadership role in pressuring the U.S. government to adopt policies that get Haiti permanently out of the chaotic situation that it's currently in. So we're all really on the same page with that, and the Solidarity community is ready to support that. I would say with the Criminal Collusion Act, we saw the challenge also play out here on the table. It seemed like NHAEON itself wasn't even really totally behind it, to be honest, and that makes advocacy extremely challenging. So reaching consensus among yourselves and stepping into your leadership role, that's my message. So thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, Johnny.
Well, thank you for having us. I know this is quick, and the first thing I want to say is that I have been an absolute believer in NHAEON, because I believe in the role that this group of elected officials have to play for our community. I believe in NHAEON than even some of its members. NHAEON needs to get its stuff together. The members.
I can always count on him on being real. So.
Look, this may be my last time, so I need to tell you all the truth. The second thing is for the faith community. I saw what the faith community was able to do. I heard in the last session you know what needs to be done. You all need to do it, because you have a lot of people in your churches 2 or 3 times a week. You are the primary leaders in our communities. And so if you don't do it, if y'all don't figure it out together, the pastors, we saw what the bishop did. I wrote about what the bishop did because so many people were against him. And I never met him. But I wrote to support him because I believe in what he wanted to do. Right? The last thing is that what the judge says, and Judge and I have been in this battle for 20 years, and sometimes we disagree, but the thing about it is this judge, I am at the stage in my life where I'm coming back to him, bending myself down to say he was right. And I'm saying it publicly, what I said to him privately. Because we need to make sure that the leaders who've been in the forefront of this fight and who have not only led the way in the work, but in the vision, we need to give them credit for that. And so I believe that what he's talking about can be tied to some immediate thing. Imagine the money that's being spent right now on migrants. I'm in New York. We spent almost $4 billion so far. Cities apparently going. Okay, so I'm saying immigration issues could be tied to what. So there's multiple ways to get to this particular point that he's making.
Okay, Pastor Lazo.
And then I'll just say lastly, Haiti Policy House. There is a Haitian-led policy house. So the Haitian Policy House is a think tank made up of Haitians. Please support. Thank you.
Pastor Lazo.
And by Haitians.
Pastor Lazo.
Thank you again. Thank you again for being here. I know time is up. I wish we had more time to speak about this, because this is where the initial push will begin. And I agree with you. The faith-based initiative, the faith community is at the epicenter of what will happen. And let me say this. I have not read the judge's bill or proposal. But here's another thing I've learned. Whatever thing we're doing for Haiti, if you cannot get the people to understand, if you cannot get the people to stand behind it, if you cannot speak in their language, in their vernacular, it will not happen. I have been growing up. I know one march that we did in New York, Haiti did in New York back in the 80s. That's when I was growing up. What Bishop did has never been done before. That was done in New York. What was done was international. 67 countries was involved. And almost every single state in the United States, we had a group of people somewhere walking or demonstrating. What it shows is that we can come together. We've shown that we can, but it takes visionary and leadership. It's not just about policy. Policy is great, but we got to get it down to the people so they can understand. In order for us to see the big vision and the big dream, we need some victories. We need to say, hey, if we can do this, then we can do that. We don't have that amongst us. You guys are, we're doing our part, and that's why I said at the other one, policymakers, please stop coming to the churches only when it's election time. Do us a favor.
Can we get in on that?
No. Do us a favor. Do us a favor. Don't come only when you need our votes. We would like for you to come and sit and educate us how to get involved. Teach us how to get in contact to your office. Who do we need to talk to when we have an issue? We need to create a relationship that the people are not afraid of, and they see you not just as a political person looking for the next election, but also create a relationship. Thank you again, and I pray we can continue this conversation.
And then one in 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll be really quick. I just wanted to end on three things. One, I know everyone said it, but it's so important to continue building out that solidarity within the Haitian American diaspora and advocacy, but also to expand. You know, I was in Chicago earlier this month with the Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, where I got to meet the judge over here at the Rainbow Push Coalition on Haitian Independence Day, and to build those bridges, not just within the diaspora, but also with the African American diaspora throughout the country. But I wouldn't suggest stopping there too. You know, look at the Latino diaspora. There are great leaders and champions in Congress and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus who want to do more in Haiti but don't know where to start. Two, advocate for what you want, not for what you think the member of Congress is comfortable doing, okay? So many times we meet with folks when I was in Congress and they would tell us, okay, well, we think that maybe for you guys this is feasible. It's like, no, it doesn't matter what we think. It's your job to put the pressure on the policymakers. So yes, obviously I'm not saying pie in the sky all the time, but like, don't be afraid to say what you want. It's their job to adapt. Three, and last thing, it's so important, and I know Johnny touched on this a little, but to tie Haiti issues to domestic issues that are really important. So on immigration work, it's so important, right? But also on more than that, you know, we didn't talk about arms trafficking today, which is so important. So, and that's why we're talking at the Open Society with folks like Every Town for Gun Safety and other groups to tell them, hey, you need to tie your gun advocacy and the domestic space to the international space, because where do you think all these guns in Haiti, in Mexico, in Central America are coming from? Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and please connect with everyone you see on stage. Please go to the marketplace. I want to thank our sponsors, City of North Miami, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, Tabernacle of Glory, Miami-Dade County Commissioner Marlene Bastien, Prestigious State, Florida Power Light, Michael Pollock Real Estate Investments, Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, Miami-Dade County Commissioner Kevin Marino Cabrera, Miami-Dade Beacon Council Becker and Polikoff, Miami-Dade County Commissioner Keon McGee, Miami-Dade County Commissioner Oliver Gilbert, Florida League of Cities, Empower Your Voice, First Triangle, Pierre French Charles, and Kayla. I got to do this. Thank you.
Thank you. They can standing up. Again, everybody, you can get out. It is going to be a plated lunch. You're going to have to go to the marketplace right now. Our hotel facility is getting ready to clean up this perfect because Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island, U.S. Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island is here, everyone. Please, let's make this an amazing place for our senator. I need everybody to get out as we speak. Go to the marketplace. They pay a nice amount of money to be here, so they want to sell something. Go buy something, everyone, at the marketplace. They are so excited to be here. We cannot say thank you enough to our sponsors. Please, we need to get out. Yes, thank you so much. We need to be out as we speak. We need to be out. Yes, be out, everyone. Go to the marketplace. Now is the time. I love you so much. I am so grateful for all of you. But we need to make sure we are ready for U.S. Senator Whitehouse. How amazing. This is incredible. The power within this room. The power that we have as a community. I cannot say thank you enough. We're going to take the talk outside because Senator Whitehouse, we got to be ready. They only have 5 minutes to make this magic happen. We got this. Every talk that needs to be talking, we need to be outside. I love my Honorable Woodson. We need to talk outside, sharing our numbers. Oh my goodness, how great we are. We have to be outside sharing our number. Yes, how great we are. Amazing people, great engagement, great panel. Yes, we can talk outside. I love you all.
Haïti, c'est belle la mer, c'est belle montagne, belle rivière, c'est belle plage avec pied cocoyer, bel paysage avec belle couleur. Haïti, c'est sans café, qu'a monté dans les matins, c'est sans